I've been looking for the right sort of do-it-all Marshall head that's right for me. And, you know, on the market, there are amazing amps by Friedman and Sir and loads of other people that do lots of Marshall type things. But they never just felt right to me when I played them. And I've been lucky enough that Coda guitars here in the UK have lent me this Tone King Royalist Mk III to make a video for them. And it gives me an opportunity to spend, a couple of weeks with it actually. I've had it since yesterday, and it's already got me thinking it might not go back to them. So I think we should dig into why. So this is a 2-channel amp, channels A and B, and they have their own separate volumes, which you can also pull out to get a sort of fatter sound with a bit more bottom end. We'll try that in a minute. Then you have treble, mids, and bass as expected, and presence. And here's where it gets really exciting over here. So each channel can be voiced with 64, 67, or 70, and that's broadly a JTM 45, a plexi, and a super lead. And you can switch between the two channels using a foot switch. And also each channel has the full attenuator. Now, I'm a big fan of Tone King amps for this reason. My first sort of expensive boutique amp was a Tone King Sky King, and the attenuator was one of the most important. Well, it was the reason I picked that amp actually. Then I had the standalone attenuator as well. And I just think this is a fantastic sort of feature to have and makes this so useful for so many things. But we'll do a little test later in the video about, you know, what it sounds like at lower volumes. You've already heard a bit of each of these. Let's hear a little bit more. And then I will get another guitar out and we'll see how that sounds. So just a couple of things before I move forward. I'm using a Marshall cab here. Obviously this is the head version. There is a combo version, and this is a 2x12 with G12Ms, so greenbacks in, just so you know. I'm using an SM57, a ribbon mic there, and a couple of room mics over here. Here's my first impression. Really impressed actually. Earlier yesterday, before I actually played this, I'd taken this Marshall. This is an original 1965 JTM 45. I'd taken it over to my mate's to play around with, and I don't think he'd played one before. And his first thoughts were about how bassy it was, even though the bass knob was off. And we were plugged into the sort of brighter channel as well. We didn't have the volume very high, and yet still that bass just comes through massively. And these are quite... as much charm and obviously the authentic vintage character as they have, being that they're the real deal, they are quite awkward to play. And in any environment where you can't blast things loudly, they could be pretty impossible to use. When you do get a chance to blast it, it sounds amazing. But the attenuator here, the opportunity to play that vintage sound without bursting my eardrums. I've had problems with this, and also another JTM 45 that I've got, where literally the bass just hurts my ears too quickly, really quickly. You know, it just gets to you straight away. And in here, it's definitely, I haven't had to turn the bass knob down much, or really much at all. You know, it's just a little bit just to balance the sound. Now we're going to pull out these fat switches in a minute in here. But my first impression is that you're getting all the bite and the grunt and the really granular feeling overdrive, right? It's not smooth. It's got this like really vintagey sort of granular thing. That's how I would describe it, without getting the thumping bass. And so you can tell straight away that this is made to be used in the mix, made to be used live, made to be used at home, made to be used in the studio, based on all the features it has. Right, I'm going to stick with the SG for a minute. We might as well hear that fat pull-out switch with the same guitar so we can sort of keep our bearings. So I'd say that Tone King has sort of dialed that fat switch right. It's not hugely aggressive, it doesn't thud, it's not like too low down, but it does add quite a lot of low mids, and I think it just makes it feel a little bit more modern. So I think in that sense it's very flexible. And ultimately what I'm seeing with this amp, which is what makes, one of the few things that makes it really, really useful, is that with that channel switching, you can set one to be like a plexi with the fat switch activated, and then the other one you could have as a JTM 45 no fat switch and maybe a bit brighter. And you can switch between them, and you can attenuate one more than the other, so it's for various, different parts of the set. Yeah, really clever, really well thought out. So I think it's time now, though, to get a Strat, get some univibe, some reverb, and some fuzz, and let's see what it can do. And I think for that, we'll stick it in the super lead setting. Yeah, that settles it. I'm going to have to talk to Doug at Coda. In honesty, I didn't dial that in super quickly. It took me about 10 minutes. First time I plugged the Strat in. I really wanted to use this Zoink machine by Acid Fuzz and the Vemiram Jam Ray. So I had those on, and then it took a while to dial this in. But it's got so many things you can do to dial it in that it's like a pleasure, and it's also just, you get there. So it really is like the ultimate vintage Marshall thing, with attenuation, with the 2 channels, with the fat switch. What more could you want? It also has a line out, which I need to try. I'll do that in another video. It doesn't have an effects loop. I think that's one oversight probably for a lot of people. I prefer to put all my pedals in front, whatever they are, delays, reverbs, everything. I know a lot of people don't. They want to put it in the effects loop. That, yeah, I don't know why they wouldn't have put that. It seems like they should have, but it wouldn't be a deal breaker for me. And I think you're not buying this amp to do massive effects. This has that wonderfully dry vintage sound to it. In the next video, I'm going to plug a Les Paul in and a Flying V and a Telecaster. I want to hear what they all sound like, and with various different fuzzes or overdrives. And we'll do a more Hendrix-based video on this as well, which would be great fun. But this answers the question for me, like finding the perfect Marshall in a box. For me, this is the one, and that's going to be next to my 2-Rock Classic Reverb. I could see them, because Marshalls and Classic Reverbs go really well as a pair. I could see that totally coming together. So that'll be an exciting video as well. I hope this has given you a taster for that amp, and if you're looking for the perfect vintage type Marshall, I would definitely check it out. As I said, Coda were very kind to lend me that one, but I just sent Doug an email and asked if I could make a deal. So yeah. Let me just show you a few things that are coming up. There's a lot of stuff coming up on the channel. Here we go. Okay, I recently bought this Benson air harp from Coda. It's already been in one video, but we're going to do some more stuff about it. Doug at Coda has also lent me this Strat Antares Master, which is pretty cool actually. I'll do that next. This, funnily enough, these Strat amps are often based on old Gibson amps, and I happen to have got myself an old Gibson, which is very cool. That came from a shop called Sweet Amps. I need to tell you all about Sweet Amps. That will be a whole video or two itself. He's also lent me some amps, Jim, down at Sweet Amps. It's a new shop. It's about 6 or 7 months old. He's a passionate vintage amp guy, had a big collection, and now has set up a shop. He's lent me this amazing Rhythm King. It's a 60-watt beast of an amp. It's very heavy. This one came out of a strip club in the States, and he imported it. I think those are cigarette burns. I hope they are, because I don't know what else. But yeah, the place closed down and he refurbished that. He's also lent me this 1960 Bassman. It's got to have the coolest cabinet I've ever seen. And we're going to be able to compare that to my 59 Bassman. So that's going to be epic as well. On top of that, hidden back here, I've got this Morgan JS12. I think I might put some heavier strings on my Telecaster and give it a go. Also, this has been lent to me by Coda. I haven't even shown you this new guitar. Oh, it's been a lot going on, but I've been away a few times. I was in Morocco during the earthquake. Some of you might have seen that on Instagram. Yeah, some of you might have seen that on Instagram. We were staying just outside Marrakesh, about 45 miles from the center of the earthquake. And we felt it. I mean, it's my first earthquake, and my wife's and my kids. And we were staying in a little guest house, and yeah, the whole thing shook, and cracks in the wall and stuff falling off shelves. And then we slept the night out on the grass there. But the people of Morocco, people in Morocco, were amazing. They obviously, as well as helping the people who had unfortunately been at the centre, they all made sure the tourists were as well looked after as possible. And we've been donating money to various charities that are helping specifically at the earthquake site. So if that's something you're interested in, yeah, it'd be great if you could donate even a $5 or whatever. There are, of course, other things going on, like the Libyan floods and stuff. So there's a lot going on. But yeah, it was just because I was there, I thought I might mention it. Anyway, I'm off to play with this more, get a Les Paul in there, make some more content for you guys to hear that. If you're interested in this Tone King, the Royalist, then hit me up in the... hit me up? I don't say that. Write a comment and ask me any questions you'd like to know about it. I didn't do the decibel meter thing. Right, that'll be at the start of the next video, which will come out very soon. So don't worry, in a couple of days' time, there'll be another video with this. So thanks for watching. See you on the next one.